All right, this is James Pelton here on a Saturday morning here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Welcome everyone. I'm so glad that you could make it today. Already see Ryan was on even before we started, already trying to guess what question I was going to ask for engagement on this video. So he tipped me off though, so I'm going to think of a different question here real quickly. I am here with Moon from Comb Finance, so excited to hear update on what they have going on and what's coming up. First thing I need you to do is hit the like button so that YouTube knows that you like this content and that it's good content. Even if you're watching the replay, about 90% of the views on these AMAs come from replays. So welcome if you're watching the replay, please hit like. And normally I ask where you guys are watching from, but I have a different question for you today, okay? I just watched the movie Titanic the other night, and there's a big controversy about in the ending scene when Rose, is that her name? I can't remember. And Jack is on the side of the door. Could have Jack fit on the door with her in some way? And they have measured this out and shown they could have both laid there. I mean, yeah, you could have done like this. I mean, maybe there was some weight problems. But comment down below. Do you think Jack could have fit on the door and that Rose is actually a murderer or at least manslaughter? That's my question for today. So, Ryan, you were wrong. I did not ask my normal question. So, go ahead and comment that. All right, with that out of the way, Moon, welcome back to the channel. Could you go ahead, just do a brief introduction of yourself, and then we'll talk through what Comb Finance has going on.
Yeah, so my name's Moon or Philip, and I'm the lead founder and lead developer of Comb. And basically, what I do is I just run the projects, I manage everything, and I also develop everything as alongside a team of developers and just managers as well. And our protocol is basically it used to be a node protocol, but we've become a little bit more complex where we're an ecosystem of different projects and products which generate revenue streams as typical other projects are. But we do it utilizing all of DeFi, liquidity mining, um, we have auto compounding, we have a validator even. So we have a lot of things that come into the project, and glad to be here and glad to be here again. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, one thing I really like about the Comb project is you guys were the first node project. I remember you came to me and said, "Hey, we're going to cap nodes." And everybody was like, "What are they doing?" But you were the first to see, "Oh, this is going to end badly." And then I remember you came to me and said, "Hey, we're getting out of just this node type project. We're going to start doing yield farming so we have a revenue stream." And this was months before any other node project was thinking in this direction. But as we've seen, that served you better than some other protocols during this time. Do you want to talk about what you guys have been up to for the past few? I guess it's been probably about a month since we last had you on, and then what new protocols or projects are you working on, and what do you kind of see the future for Comb looking like?
Yeah, so for us, we have started, we've rolled out a product named Capsules. So let me share my screen with that. Um, I think I can do it. Yep. So Capsules is a deflationary liquidity miner for Comb. So similar to all your typical investments for like other node projects, you invest a certain amount of tokens and you get that same token out. Likewise, we have Capsules. You invest 10 to 1 Comb token even, like there's a low barrier of entry. There is a minting fee of like $1 in Phantom, but otherwise you create a capsule and you get a variable APR, which is what makes this different, is that our APR is dependent on our revenue stream rather than just a fixed number that can lead to terrible inflation, right? And so whenever you claim from a capsule, differently to other node projects, it actually buys back Comb tokens, and that's how you earn your Comb rewards. And so that's really good because there's external liquidity coming in, and you're not pulling from the same liquidity pool, right? And over time, it leads to a price appreciation as you claim. And if you do sell, it is a net zero effect on the Comb like ecosystem. And so it's really the next step and next innovation to at least me like other node projects is because instead of just printing a token that'll constantly depreciate your price and lower the price every time you sell it, at least for capsules, every time you claim, you're actually earning a token that was bought and given to you and taken off the market. And so there's a net zero. And same thing, like there are some like caveats with it. There's like health to it. There's claiming, and there's you can deposit more comb and deposit more like assets to generate asset rewards. And what asset rewards is, you put in a different token, like our current strategy is F beats. You put in F beats inside the capsule, and it'll start generating extra value adding assets. So as you compound, as you put more comb into a capsule, it'll be generating more rewards. And so, where do these rewards come from? They come from liquidity mining. And so, it's a term used to kind of name like incentives and grabbing incentives from providing liquidity. And in addition, there's like all other revenue streams, let that be the validator, governance votes, vaults, auto compounders. There's a bunch of revenue streams that add to this APR, right? And so over time, as we grow as a protocol, we'll be creating more revenue streams, more refreshes, more just different things to contribute to the APR of these capsules. And it is really the next step into just DeFi in general, because when you make DeFi as simple as investing one token and getting one token out, it just makes it really easy. And especially when you could tap into all of DeFi and put it into one node, it makes it even more easier, right? And there's a lot more to it, but that's kind of like the general gist, the TLDR. There's some things like if you want to participate in the ecosystem, you could also grab a Hive and you could deposit to get like 250% into your capsule, right? And then there's also pods, which is something similar to that, but you could get tokens in like Bitcoin, AVAX, Phantom Ethereum with very high APRs of like 100%, right? And so if you have like a capsule right now, you would be making 144% as indicated in the top right. And if you compare it to other projects out there, I think a very popular one of yours is, James, is like yield nodes. We, in fact, actually make more than yield nodes at the moment. Um, According to our current TVL, we make around 900,000 a year, which would be, or a little bit more than that. I'm doing math on top of my head, but we make a more like close to 1 million a year, and that's distributed across all the capsules, all the Zcomb holders. And in the past, like even the past month, we had like an estimated yield report of like over 8%, and that was a conservative estimate, because if you do 8 times 12, that's not 8% for, it's actually in fact more. And so these percentages are really conservative, and they're actually typically high. They're not as high as like other node projects, or like the typical node project where it's like fixed emissions, fixed returns in that same token. It is variable, but these low APRs are sustainable and like 100%, 100% correlating with the revenue, right? So there's a lot to it, but overall, it's a really strong product, and what we look to be our flagship product, right? And some like cool things, you get like a little certificate if you want to download it, and you could view your NFT, and it's liquidable. So if you ever want to sell it, right, you could always go to the marketplace and sell your capsule. And this is a feature we're looking to add a little bit in the future, like a couple of weeks. But these capsules are liquid, right? Don't really have a sunk cost. And so you could always sell them out, and you could basically trade them. And one more thing is that even adding to that sunk cost, like notion, right? When a capsule, it depletes in health. So over time, the capsule's health will deplete over time. You could always free a capsule and withdraw everything. And so you don't have like really sunk costs, because if you wait long enough, you could actually just get back all your comb tokens, get back all your asset rewards, get everything back, right? And it's the same thing with pods. And so yeah, it's really crazy, but a lot to it. But it's if you're really interested in something a lot more sustainable, um, something purely based on revenue streams, right? Yeah, you should definitely check out pods. I mean capsules, because they
And
are
pods.
definitely the next step. Yeah, they're close to the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So
Uh, Can I ask you just a couple questions? First off, first off, I think people are done chasing APYs and APRs. Like they're
right,
realizing it,
right.
if the revenue doesn't come in, it doesn't really matter what the APR is. And so I like that you guys are just giving actual revenue instead of,
Mm.
that should not increase the inflation of your token, by giving out actual rewards. How should people think through? Should we invest in Zcomb? Should we get a pod? Should we get a capsule? How should people kind of think through that if they're trying to decide the best way that they want to jump in?
Yeah, so the main differentiator between all of it is that capsules are very automated. They make it really easy to claim into a token, and so there are their own benefits, right? So if you have like Zcom, right, you got to claim into like these like beautiful tokens, Spirit, Scream, Boo, Beats, because in my opinion, these are ecosystem tokens that are bound to like grow over time, right? Like if you think of like Uniswap, right, the largest DEX in the like on the blockchain, right? Um, Basically they make like millions dollars of fees every single like I guess not even like month, it's a day, right? They make $1 million every single day, and what's bound to happen? Their price of the token increases over time. And so Boo beats their dexes, Spirit's also a dex, and Scream is a lending protocol. And over time, these projects will grow, and because they are the largest projects on the network, right? Unless they suffer any like large exploit or anything like that, um, they're bound to grow because we really believe them in them, and they're the largest projects on Phantom. Like you use the saying, too large to like fail, right? And so this is like one benefit is that when you have all these tokens, it's just really easy to just accumulate because during these bear markets, you should be accumulating, right? The intrinsic value of these tokens, like at least for Boo, it's 12 Phantom, and right now Phantom's like 25 cents. And so when Phantom reaches $1, it's automatically gonna 4x. Boo is gonna 4x with Phantom. Spirit is gonna 4x with Phantom. Scream, Beats, they're all gonna 4x if Phantom 4x's. And so rather than having just one token Phantom and hope it 4x's, you diversify your portfolio with Zcomb, right? And there are a couple of like just nuances with capsules and pods. Like pods has a like 5% claim fee, and then capsules has a 10% claim fee. And pods, although have like different APRs just because of their deposit amounts, but and they have their own like different UI, which you could have to get used to. But at least for me, if you'd want a recommendation with like no financial advice, right? Um, I would recommend just getting Capsule and trying it out because capsules have the lowest barrier or have the second to lowest barrier of entry, and it's honestly one of the easiest products out there. And so as we also grow and add more things, we do plan on adding like even cosmetics to capsules, right? And make it a lot more interesting and unique because capsules is really like the next, I think, node kind of concept that should be really adopted. And alongside, if you do plan on getting in, like if the hives are starting to get undervalued, you could definitely go for a hive as well because when you deposit high rewards into Zcomb, pods, or capsules, you actually get a 250% bonus, up to a 250% bonus, depending on the health or your lock time. Although right now the hives are a little bit pricey. Um, Over time, they'll make up for their price, and so, yeah, I would definitely just recommend just grabbing a capsule, putting in 10 comb to begin with. That's my recommendation to start to see rewards over time, and you'll start to like it a little bit more because if you look onto like our buy sell ratio for comb, right, it's actually pretty strong in my opinion. Like we have more buys than sells, which is something you don't really see in other projects, and this has been like consistent since the launch of capsules. And so, right, that's something that's really interesting as well.
Very cool. So one question that did come up is so what do you feel what do you see as the future for Phantom? Do you think Phantom
Mhm.
is on its way, to it was rocketing for a while, then they had kind of the drama with Andre and stuff, and what do you kind of see as the
Mhm.
future for Phantom, because a lot of what you're doing is dependent on that, right?
Right. So at least for Phantom, I think that when we start to enter the bull market, I think there's going to be a lot of restoration of, I guess, reputation because over time, Phantom has lost a little bit of its reputation just because it's not VC funded, which is kind of a big thing relatively, right? Because if you're VC funded, you're able to grow faster, you're able to actually like fund more. And so when you look at actually like Phantom, the documentation isn't the best. Their response to like incentives for projects isn't the best as well. But because they're not VC funded, they're not being dumped on. Like if you think of it in like the current market, they have not been dumped on in comparison to other like projects like Near, AVAX, Solana. They can easily be dumped on by their VCs. And so Phantom is going to be more like an underdog project, right? They will excel through its technology, which is very important because when you think of a blockchain, you just think of like, oh, there's a bunch of projects on it. But at the end of the day, if a user feels really like happy on a blockchain with its technology and its basically like latency, right? Um, and that will make them stay. Like, why do we all leave Ethereum? Because gas fees are high and transaction speeds are slow, right? Imagine going back to Ethereum, and nobody wants to do that because its technology is not good at the moment. And of course, they're moving to proof of stake, and that'll change. But right now, it's not a good time to go on Ethereum. Everybody thinks it's kind of like disgusting. You need to pay so much and wait so much for one small transaction. On Phantom, right? It's different. You have latency like almost like 1 second, even less at times, right? To run a transaction. And you could run like 10 transactions a day in comparison to Ethereum. And people really overlook that like feeling of actually being able to run stuff, right? But then you compare your chain you're currently on, AVAX, Phantom, Solana, and then you think of Ethereum, you're like, yeah, I'm staying on Phantom, right? I want my node project on Phantom. I want everything on Phantom. And you think of that with the gas costs as well, right? Phantom has very low gas costs, like 1 gwei at times, right? And that's way below a cent, like maybe like even below a like a thousandth of a cent, right? So it's gotten very, very small. And over time, these improvements have actually made people a lot happier. And so if we prioritize our thoughts on tech, then yes, it's going to be there in the future, and it's looking to be very strong as they've made significant improvements over time. And like one saying me and Sam like to say is that if you think any like blockchain, any Web3, any of like Bitcoin, any of Ethereum, Phantom will even exist in 5 years, all of your investments right now are probably going to be fine because if it's here in 5 years, and in my opinion, there's no doubt that it's going to be here in 5 years, then it's going to be all good, right? This is just one bump in the road. And obviously, if blockchain's here to stay, then it's this any investment today is probably going to be a really strong investment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think that that's very, very cool. So yeah, if anybody in the audience has any questions they want to ask, feel free. This is super helpful just to talk to you and just to catch up and see. One thing I've always appreciated about you, Phil, is that you just are always building. Every time I
Mhm.
talk with you, you just have built something new, and there's more building than talking, which I appreciate. A lot of the projects I run into, there's a lot of talking, but then when I get together with them after a month, it's like, so what have you done? They're like, well, a new UI, and it's like, well, that's great, but we need to build, So always
Yeah.
appreciate it about you and your team.
Yeah, I can do a little bit more talking because we do have like so or if you want to talk about like what's next for Com, right? We are looking to do a project named Utopia. And so one cool thing about this for you, James, is that there will be like a referral system, which you would probably love as well, right? Um,
Probably.
so for the auto compounders, we were looking to refresh it for like a relatively new platform and a way different user experience. Unlike typical like um, Beefy, Yield Yak, Yield Wolf, we were looking to revamp the user experience so it's completely new, right? Nothing that's seen before, and it's something so strong that we're actually like taking the time to like go to VCs and seeing if they would be interested into funding a project like this, right? And so it's something we're really like surprised that nobody's actually done before, and we're actually really excited to show it off. Of course, like the 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 concepts I'm sharing right now aren't like too specific, and that's because we're keeping it under the wraps because this is something that's really strong for competitors to actually like, perhaps like take away from us, and so we would love to keep it like under wraps until we get like everything sort of the platform fully built out, because this is really a huge portion of comb in our opinion. And so, and this will also be a large revenue stream, and it could be an opportunity for others as well. Like anybody in the audience, even you, James, could take part in like building a revenue stream from inviting people onto our platforms, right? And obviously, our focus on Comb right now is really making the user experience as easy as possible, because when you think of Web3 UX, it kind of sucks, right? There's not a lot of easy websites to use, and if you have one, it's really niche, right? And so for us, we want to make it as easy as possible because our target is retail investors. And as Sam would say, like, we want to have your grandmother or your mother to use it, because that's how easy we want to make it. And so likewise, if you think of Utopia and that project, we're looking to also do that same like ideology, is making it as easy as possible as well.
Can I ask you, at one point, I think we had talked about a fiat to crypto, because I think that's a
Mhm.
huge way. Like I'm thinking about my grandma,
Right.
and like that's what it would take for her to get in. I think, like I don't think she's going to be able to get her money onto Binance and then download
Yeah.
MetaMask and those types of things. Is there any? Have you guys thought about that, or is that any time in the future?
Yeah, so we've had ideas for that, and um with the expansion of like Utopia, there was like the talk about like possibly like going mobile and having that like a whole concept of like fiat to crypto, but that hasn't fully been fleshed out and isn't in the near future. But as soon as we start building out the platform, getting an audience, getting feedback, and make sure everything is working, if we do even like get VC funding, right? This would be a huge step, because then they'd be able to access like Utopia and like auto compounders, right? Imagine anybody in the world, like your friends accessing auto compounding, like getting these 4% yields on stable coins, right? Like that's pretty nuts in comparison to what they have originally. And even if it's low for the time being, and to everybody in this audience probably it's pretty low, um it's still pretty nuts to just average individuals. And typically if you think of like auto compounders and these yields, people don't really have them. And there's been attempts from like even like the larger centralized exchanges like Coinbase, Binance, where you can stake your tokens for like a 2%, 4% APY. It hasn't been like, it's not their streamlined project, or it's not their flagship like project or product, right? It's only been just an addition that people really overlook. And so for us, we want to make auto compounding as accessible as possible. And um yeah, it's gonna be really good, and we'll let everybody know when that time's come, when people can start using even our referral system for the auto compounding as well.
Yeah, for sure. Let me know. Let me know when that's going. We'll get another AMA on the
Yeah.
books.
Right, right.
Maniel wants to know, can we get a hint on what's coming for Hives?
Right. So for Hives, we're looking to integrate that more with our ecosystem. And so holding it will have like benefits of possibly airdrops, as well as staking your Hives, right? that's something we're looking into because now that Hives are NFTs, they're technically liquid, right? And there's a yield behind it. And something that we're exploring is trying to find like ways to utilize NFTs beyond just holding them, right? Or trading them, right? We want to be able to actually perhaps one day like have them lent out, have them borrowed out to possibly earn some like get a loan for like treasuries money, right? And so we're looking to get or not just hives, but pods and capsules all just together and having them a platform where NFTs could actually be useful for once, right? And so that's where Hives might be in the future. And we still have to hash things out. Of course, our focus is Utopia at the moment, which is gonna be one of our strongest pieces, as like many people would say, like utility, right? It's gonna be one of our strongest pieces of utility in our platform because it's something we can focus on, but it's something we can put our name behind, right? And like if we were to change from a node project, I would love to do what Utopia is doing right now and auto compounding like in a very simple manner.
Okay, very cool. All right, well, yeah, feel free to talk about anything else you want to, but I think for people who are watching who just like you, like the product, what's the best way to get involved? Is it just hop on the website and well, join your Discord for sure, but hop on the website, buy some comb, and then jump into, or when are these capsules going to be available? Are they available already?
Yeah, so capsules right now are available. At least for this. I would recommend just somebody just grabbing a capsule, right? Grab 10 comb, grab just a little bit of phantom for that minting fee, right? And just grab a capsule and just let it run for a few days, right? And if you're very satisfied with like the rewards over time, you could deposit more comb, deposit some assets, and those are FPs, right? And so I think that's the easiest way to get involved because it was made to be the easiest way to get involved, right? There are slightly more complexities with pods and capsules. Like there's a lot more going to it. There's feedable comb, there's staked LPs, there's assets or depositing LPs, deposit comb, um, and then there's Zcomb where you have to begin a lock, you have to deposit, you have to claim, you have to zap. There's a lot more going to it, and of course, complexity comes with a lot more like benefits. But right now, if you're just looking to hop on comb and just trying something out, and the barrier of entry is relatively low, right? Um, you can just hop on, grab a capsule, and see how it goes, right? Like our APRs are really high in comparison to everything else, and it again, it's not a sunk cost. So just wait it out, wait out all your health, and you could just claim all your or your deposits again, right? And so yeah, that's my suggestion to hopping onto the platform. There's a lot more you could do as well. There's like pools, and so pools are basically a platform where you can stake your LPs for comb incentives. And so if you don't want to buy comb, you could start earning comb by just depositing some LPs, right? So this is a stable coin LP, Stardust, which is USDT, USDC, and MIM, and you can simply just earn a 14% APR and just comb. And it's just as easy as that, right? And over time, you could take that comb and you could deposit it into a capsule. And you can continuously deposit into a capsule as well, right? And or deposit into Zcomb, right? Or just buy a hive because we have a lot of individuals looking to sell their hives. And although the floor price is slightly high with a single top bar hive or the 1x um, costing 20 comb, it's still pretty strong because again, if you go into a hive into a capsule, it is going to be a 250% bonus, and that's pretty like good on its own, right? Or you claim it outright, and that's all good as well. And so a lot of different opportunities to income. We got pools, we got vaults, we got a marketplace, right? And different things you can use to really, I guess, get yields and returns on your investments. And so, yeah, start with a capsule and see how it goes. And obviously, things will grow over time.
Okay, very cool. I just a dad joke popped into my mind, but it's not complex. You got to use that somehow.
Yes,
Okay, marketing,
yes.
marketing. I'm
It's
giving it
not
to you. I'm not going to
complex.
even charge
Rather
for that one.
That's great, that's great.
Well, awesome. Well, it's always great just to talk with you and kind of hear that you guys are keep moving forward, keep having things that you're building.
Mhm,
I feel better about Comb than the other NAS projects, just again, because of what we talked about, that you guys have been working on revenue for such a long time.
right.
And if it wasn't for Phantom, well, and the whole market crashing,
Yeah,
I think Comb would be just skyrocketing.
right.
So as Phantom comes back, I think there's a lot of potential I see in this project. So
Yeah.
very, very cool.
So, one more note is that, like, our emissions are fully, like they're almost fully, like, at its, like, lowest point, and so that's a good thing because that means the buy pressure will be relatively stronger than the sell pressure, right? And so all of our hives are starting to wither out, which means that it's emitting less tokens. But this was a move to kind of sustain ourselves over time and just kind of just promote actual, like, a little bit more sustainable rewards. And so at least for the hives, the emissions are lowering to its lowest point, which is called the withering, right? It's the day where all the hives got their ROT and the return on token and their rewards will start to diminish. I say a pretty significant amount, right? But at the same time, it gives us opportunity, especially during this bear market, where it's all the more crucial for us to just be a little bit more content with our price and have it work more sideways than it going down or going up, right? We would love to just stay sideways, right? And because Phantom is low, like if Phantom like 4x's to $1, right? Just a dollar. And it was at a dollar all of last year, basically. Um, and it's unfortunate it got back to like 25 cents in this bear market. If it went back to a dollar, the price of comb, if you calculate it, would actually just be $38, right? So it's a big, big leap up, and it's all it takes is just a little bit more like faith in just blockchain, Web3, cryptocurrency in general, and it's easy as that. All of a sudden, our price just 4x, right?
Yeah,
And so, yeah, that's
I
all it
do.
takes. And yeah,
I did want to bring up too. I just want to show the chart. So because as a lot the other node projects are just have this down, and it's a chart going to zero basically.
right.
Um, there's been some tough times obviously, but right now this is not what you see from node projects with no revenue. Is you don't see the price all of a sudden, months and months into the project, it's going up. And so it's just I'm just not used to seeing that in node projects. So again, I just a chart. I'm like, oh, that's a good looking chart for buying. So I just want to keep building and love what you guys are doing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's a lot different, and it's just because we previously were really focusing on our tokenomics, and we spent a lot of time just talking about it, seeing what's best, and making sure that every step we're doing is good for the long term. And obviously, I think for most projects, a long term like vision has been hit. So this is like the moment we can call long term, which is like 6 months from now since our inception, right? Or like 3 months, 2 months, 4 months, right? It's been relatively short or midterm to long term from those points where we say like we're doing this for the long term. And so now that we've done it for the long term, we're actually realizing our like benefits or just because we took the beat or the we took the hit a lot earlier. This is when we hit the long term, and this is where we're actually like kind of doing okay in the bear markets, which really does matter. If you're suffering in the bear markets, there's a lot of panic, there's a lot of FUD, and it just stacks on top of each other, and then it's just even harder. And so a bunch of the projects that didn't really take any long-term steps took the steps to do a short-term action just for like a little price bump. They're suffering a little bit more right now. So um, we're really happy that we took those steps and really focusing on our tokenomics because at the end of the day, we all started as a DeFi project, and it's although it's really good to get into the like real world assets at the moment, we're not able to do that yet, right? We have to focus on our current product, focus on Comb, and then we can move on to larger endeavors, which kind of extend from our project, so that we actually make crypto like adoptable one day and actually have utility in the real world.
That's awesome. Well, hey, I'm a big supporter, so happy to have you guys on anytime. You have to tell Sam that I miss him and hope he can make it next time. But yeah, just keep
Yeah,
building and yeah, let me know what I can do to help and yeah, just appreciate what you're doing for the DeFi space.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate it. Like DeFi again. If you even think it's gonna be any close to like to being here in 5 years, it's likely you'll just be fine for investing right now. And we're looking to be here for a while, right? Our locking period is 2 years, and our phantom validators locked for a whole year. So we'll be here at least for those periods of time. So if you think it's gonna be here in the future, and if you think Bitcoin is gonna be $0 in 5 years, then yeah, so be
Stay
it.
out.
But it's not. It's likely never gonna hit $0. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would like to say that.
Okay, very cool. Well, and it happens as you build revenue streams, your look gets less short term and more long term, kind of
Yeah.
as you're waiting for those revenue streams to kind of catch up. So when you have just the high APRs with no revenue streams and just tokenomic games, you can do a really high short term return
Mhm.
that might last for a month. But as you are getting, you lower the APR to actual revenue,
Mhm.
then instead of looking for, hey, I'm not looking for 30% a month. I'm looking for maybe 70% a year for 5 years, like you said. And
Yeah.
so that's just, you can have short term unsustainable high growth, or you can have long term sustainable growth. And I like that Combs going this direction. So,
Yeah, for that as well, it's like you don't have to go like crisis control like every single like week and have to deal with like individuals like constantly, I guess, flooding, because that does I would say that does take a hit on like individuals who are actually developing protocols and projects, is that when you hear stuff like that, although like you could be the toughest you can be and try to tune them out, and that it'll still take a pretty heavy toll when you have to do some crisis control. So yeah, we're really happy that we have a great and beautiful community that's constantly supporting us, and we're here to develop for you guys. And let's make this big, because we're at the end of the day we're a large DAO, right? We have Zcom, our governance token, and people vote. Like a good percentage of us vote, so really happy about it. So yeah, thank you everybody in the community for being here as well.
yes. So, yeah, audience, appreciate you guys showing up and asking your questions. Please do hit the like button. Whether you're watching this live or a replay, hit the like button on our way out here. And yeah, feel free to reach out. Discord would be a great way. I was going to see if I could grab the link here real quick, but I cannot multitask. So just go to their website and get there. I can't multitask. I'm a man, we're not able to do that. So go hop on there, get their Discord link. But yeah, thank you, audience. Appreciate you guys showing up. And yeah, thanks, Phil. Appreciate talking to
Mhm.
you. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Take care. And audience, next on my channel, we are having a chess tournament, which this is a new thing. I'm commentating a chess tournament. I know nothing about chess except for that knights do an L move. But that'll be coming up here shortly on my channel. So join us for that. And yeah, go hop in the Comb Discord. So thanks everybody.
All right, thank you.